Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Beats, Brews, and Points of View podcast. I'm your host, Neil Richter, along with my partner in podcasting, E-Man Bates, sitting across from me.
The PIP, that is me, and we are in Pittsburgh City for episode 150.
Give me a hell yeah!
Well, anyways, to start the podcast off, that was a song called The Middle, and that was by an artist named Bonsai, who is our special guest here on the podcast today.
Hey, y'all. What's up?
Thank you for coming on. It's been awesome to see your journey from Honey Monsoon all the way into now this solo work. So I've been excited to sit down and chop it up with this new journey that you're on.
And we're going to grill you about all of it.
I think I looked it up before the podcast, and the first time we had you on was back in 2019. We were only in like I think it was like our 30-something episode of the podcast.
That was at the Rock, right?
Yeah, Plymouth Rock Recording Company.
Wow.
But yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I really, really enjoyed your set yesterday. We were at, for context, anyone listening, we were at Barrel and Flow Festival, which is what we were invited out to run media for, and Na was actually performing at it as well. And they did an amazing show. And yeah, why don't you kind of take us through yesterday before we get into the new music?
For sure. Well, you know, when I first decided to play Barrel and Flow, I wasn't sure like what the music was going to be like, what the ensemble was going to be like. But I have a friend, Sweet Corey Bay, who played with me, and another friend, King Sophia from Detroit. And it kind of just became the perfect opportunity for us to meet in the middle and play. Sweet is from Philly, so you know it's directly halfway between Detroit and Philly for the most part. And so it was perfect. So yeah, we knocked it out. Sweet and I both are like beat makers and do a lot with like samplers and you know experimenting with drum sounds. And then of course you know Sweet kills it on the bass, like. Man. Just soulful, funky, like everything. So yeah, we just decided to kind of like improvise. Sweet got in the night before and we just, you know, jammed out, decided what we wanted to do, caught a feel for things, and then we took it to the stage. And then King Sophia joined us at the end. Incredible cellist and composer and like so many experimental electronics and stuff. So yeah, the set kind of just came together like that. And honestly, I loved it. I've been listening to it, the recording we took ever since.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you guys got it recorded and everything.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you like you said, Sweet was amazing on bass, and it was fun to watch.
That was a nice little surprise, too.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I kind of went into it didn't know what to expect. I remember you hit me up like, oh, we're at this place. I'm like, okay. Neil and I pulled up. I'm like, yo, it's like almost completely dark on this street. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you walk into like this underground like spot, and I'm like, what is happening? And then it was just like this cool, like dimly lit, like almost like smokers lounge room, like lighting that was going on. And I see them on the cello. I'm like, oh, this shit is fire, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. Yeah, that was just a really cool experience. And you know, I was like a few hours into Pittsburgh, we got to see that. So
That's a great way to start your weekend for sure.
It was very interesting because on our way in too, we had I think our cab driver was from Czechoslovakia. And he was playing us Russian hip-hop music on the way over, and it was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild. They have it all.
He was from Kazakhstan.
Oh, Kazakhstan. That's where he was.
Yeah.
That's right.
But he was like, yeah, these guys, like, they were rapping about, like, the Soviet Union and, like, all this stuff, like, back in the day. I'm like, oh, shit. This is intense, dude.
Niche hip-hop.
It really was. And then so they drop us off, and, you know, we went down there, and it was right as I think King had maybe just started playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to expect, but it was very quiet in there, so we kind of sat down there. I got my breathing exercises on, and that took me to a different place. I just kind of, you know, I love music that is experimental like that, where you can kind of just get lost off into your mind somewhere. So, yeah, that was very cool.
Same, yeah.
And then going into your set yesterday, it was probably like 3 in the afternoon, so it was like very hot point of the day. But we went over there, and it was also another thing that took me places in my mind, which is a really nice thing. Since the last time we saw you, I quit drinking, so I now bank on music that can like get me to that place.
Music's the ultimate drug.
It really, really is. And I thought that not only I wanted to compliment you on the music that you've been dropping, but I was very impressed with your guitar playing yesterday.
Thank
it was
you.
really good. How long have you been at playing guitar?
I started playing guitar when I was like 12. So, yeah, like 14 years.
And when did you get that beautiful? Is that a Gibson that you were playing yesterday?
No, it's a LTD.
Okay.
Les Paul, yeah. I got that actually, and I think it was maybe like 2019 or so. It's actually a really funny story because I had this blue Ibanez acoustic guitar. I had got it in high school. It's like the first guitar I bought for myself. Loved her down, and she didn't sound that great, but it was like sentimental value. And I had it in the back of Taylor's convertible because I don't know where we were going, but I probably just wanted to bring my guitar with me. And Taylor is like the drummer in my old band. And he like went to put the top down and like snapped the neck off that guitar.
No.
And I remember being like, dang, like, whoa, like it's irreplaceable. And he was like, I'm gonna get you a new guitar. And so there was this like giveaway on IG from this like guitar like gear company. And they were like, we're giving away this Les Paul. Like tag someone in the comments, like whatever. And he was like, you need to give now Bonsai this guitar. I wrecked her other guitar. Like, please, like, just. And they ended up hitting me up like, all right, like, the guitar is yours. So that's how I got that guitar. I love it. I recently switched the pickups to P rails. So it's like half humbucker, half P90s. And I think it just has given me so many more tones to choose from and has really just like, I don't know, taken the guitar to a different level. So it's like currently the only guitar I have, which is kind of wild, but yeah, I've been dialing in my tone and my textures and stuff, and it was fun.
It's paying off for sure. I mean, I've always seen you play amazing, even with Honey Monsoon back in the day, but it seems like maybe I'm focused more on it because you're more the focal point of the group now because it was just you and a bass player, obviously. So I was really into that, but I was also curious, because yesterday it was more of like an experimental thing. It wasn't as like cut and dry as just playing songs. So how do you go into like preparing for that kind of a show? Do you guys just kind of go with whatever feels right in the moment, or did you guys have like a little rehearse beforehand?
I mean, like when I'm playing an experimental set, it can go a lot of different ways, but I think what's more important and what I love about it is instead of focusing on like how do I rehearse this music, it's like how do I prepare my energy to like share an experience to be as clear as possible, So we did jam the night before, and just locked in like when I'm working with a 404, I like to just kind of build like a selection of samples to choose from. So what's the vibe, what's the BPM we'll probably be playing at, Sweet's such a soulful player, is like between that 70 and like 100 BPM range, maybe something a little extra, a little faster to bring the vibe up and then take it back down. So I kind of like to like figure out what the story is going to be. So I've been working on, just dialing in like different drum samples and patterns and stuff, because that gives us the freedom to kind of move through stuff. And then Sweet, is incredible selector, so they have like all these different deep cut samples and stuff, and then some of their own songs as well. And so it's like, we vibe, we share what we've been working on, and we just kind of like figure something out. And then the rest, I always say, because we recorded the jam from the night before, we're like listening to it yesterday morning, and we were like in the grocery store parking lot, and I was like, now what we have to do is forget all of this and not try to recreate it. This jam was incredible, but like tomorrow or like later on, it's what it's going to be, what it's going to be. And I think that it's just fun to just be malleable and like express whatever you're feeling in the moment. It can be a very just like liberating experience. So, I like to fast. I like to make sure I meditate, do my breathing exercises, be grounded, show up early. I don't like feeling scattered and,
Yes.
So it's all of that stuff that falls into that like energetic preparation category that, once you get on stage, you just be free, feel what you're feeling and groove, respond to the environment.
That's super important in the moment. Being in the moment is such a hard practice. It's very easy to get lost in the past and the future when you're going through your, creative process. And have you heard of Eckhart Tolle?
Mm-mm.
So he's a German philosopher, and he wrote this book called A New Earth, where that's a lot of the centering of it. And he also has another one called The Power of Now, where he talks about the practice of staying in the moment and how beneficial that can be to your life. And that's helped me in sobriety, like insane amounts. So I like that you said that, because that's something I resonate with. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was. Neil kind of touched on this a little bit with, like, we're kind of going back into, like, Monsoon. So I would like, what is the biggest creative shift for you coming from, like, say, like, Monsoon days, like, to finding your voice to now Bonsai?
I mean, the biggest shift has just been life experience and growth. Yeah. I don't think there's, like, there have definitely been moments that have changed how I approach music, you know. But really, I feel like it's just been a gradual progression and dedication to, like, whatever this calling is. Like, there's so many times, and I feel like everyone can relate to this, no matter if they're an artist or not, but it's like you have times where you have to reorient, like, where am I going in life? Like, what's important to me? What's going to take me to where I'm trying to be in the future? And I feel like that falls into, like, how I consider music. You know, music's a huge part of my life, so... You know, there have been lots of times where I have to, like, rededicate, be reborn, be recommitted. You know, it's like renewing vows to music. And each time I do that, you know, it's like I get to approach it from a different place and a different perspective, try new things, meet new people who change, you know, what I'm listening to, what I'm thinking about. Yeah, all of that.
In Monsoon, was everyone in the band writers, or were you still, like, the head writer in that one?
I wrote all the music for Honey Monsoon.
Okay.
But it was kind of arranged collectively. So, like, you know, I would write songs and take it to the band, and then we would just, like, play it over and over and over, and then it would turn into something. A lot of times it shifted in, like, performing it. You know, when you perform something before you record it, I feel like it's very different than making something in the studio and then trying to translate it to live. So that was something Honey Monsoon did a lot, is, like, I would write something, we'd practice it for a gig, play it at a gig, it would kind of fall into the cycle of songs we would always play, and then, you know, then we take it to the studio. And so, yeah, I think that's, like, usually how stuff came about.
That's interesting, because there's I always think about that with bands and stuff like that, because there's a band that I like a lot called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yeah.
And they're all writers, every member of the band, and they all have very different tastes in music. So, like, but they allow each member to write a specific amount of songs for each project that they do. So, like, you get such a wide range of things on their albums. You go from, like, heavy metal to, like, an R&B groove to, like, all these different things. And I find that so interesting, because every time they drop a project, I'm always going to be surprised what I'm going to hear, because, you know, there's no way to box those guys in at all.
Right.
So
I love genre blending.
It's the best. It's so much fun. E, you okay?
What do you call it? Power out. Like, the power's not connecting right here.
Oh. Do you need to pause for a minute?
Yeah, let's pause for a minute.
Sorry about that. Had a little bit of technical difficulties, but anyways, we were just kind of transitioning through the process of being in a band into making solo music. So I did want to get into this new project that you're working on. And I know the other day on social media, you just announced the album release date, and I don't want to steal that thunder, so I'll pass that over to you to maybe say on here, as well as maybe the title of the project and all that good stuff.
For sure. Real quick, I can't hear myself.
Yeah, I can't hear her either.
Check when.
Check.
Channel might be muted. Check when.
There she is.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I'm finally releasing my debut album. It's called Obsidian Bloom, and it comes out on September 12th. And I'm playing a release show on the 13th as a part of Strange Beautiful Music.
Yay! I'm so excited about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The release show, if I'm not mistaken, is downtown Detroit?
Yeah, it's on the east side at the Catch stage.
And where can people get tickets if they want to go to that show?
Yeah, you can go to my website, nowbonsai.com. You can also go to New Music Detroit. That's the org that puts on Strange Beautiful Music. So if you buy tickets to that festival, you'll have a ticket to my show.
Awesome. And so I know you've got I know of Haruki being on this project because we've recorded in the studio that he works at in Plymouth Rock. Take us through maybe some of the other personnel that have helped in this collaborative process of making this album.
Yeah, honestly, there's been so many people. It's been such a collective effort, and I'm so grateful for my community. Todd Watts played drums on the project. Haruki played bass on a good portion of the songs, and then my friend Sweet also played bass on a few of the songs, and Adam DiPaolo played bass on one of the songs as well. So it was a lot of bass players. Ian Fink played keys and synthesizer. Nick Calcaterra played percussion. Piranha Head came in the studio and laid down some guitar and some like crazy synth arrangement. Indira Edwards played viola on a special string reprise of Planet Paralysis. And I'm sure I'm leaving some folks out. Ben Green played trumpet on a couple tunes. And there's also, a song that was supposed to be on Alchemy that just wasn't ready, wasn't its time. But now it's on Obsidian Bloom, and Barry Chambliss played piano on that.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
So you named a couple people that I'm familiar with, aside from Haruki. And how did Piranha Head, how did that come around? Because he's kind of a Detroit legend.
Yeah, no, that's OG. He's someone that has been around and been really encouraging my musical process. He arranged strings on Closer to the Sun, which came out on Alchemy a couple years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he arranged strings on that, and ever since then we just stay in touch. Super supportive of my musical practice. I'm grateful for that. Learned so much from him, and every time that he's just present in a musical space, just appreciate his energy, Yeah.
And then also Ben Green. Ben's been on our podcast before with Deontay Visible.
What was the band?
Speak Mahogany.
No, that too.
Oh, Sabbatical Bob.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've known Ben for a long time, since Honey Monsoon days as well. So
he's a nut.
Yeah, he played like synth trumpet on the project.
Synth
Regular
trumpet?
Synth trumpet. Next level.
There's like this like little like after hours thing that happens randomly throughout. It's like off Oakland in the city of Detroit. I forgot the name of it, but they have like a free jazz like session in the middle of like a circle. And I just randomly saw Ben playing it one day, like on there, like, and that was like my first time seeing him in a few years. I'm just like, what are you doing here? He goes like, yeah, man, I've been doing this for a while. So he's been gigging around the city for a minute. Sabbatical Bob, I think, has some stuff coming out like not too long from now. Like last time I talked to him. So
it's crazy because they hadn't done anything for a while, and I made like a artist highlight on Deontay Visible and Sabbatical Bob and Speak Mahogany, and then like almost right after that video went up, they shouted it out to me that they were like back in the studio together and working again. I was like, yes! Did I manifest that somehow? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that because those guys are all killers.
All right, question for you. So what got you going from like traditional songwriting into like the immersive like art aspect of it, or immersive music?
I feel like I've always done both. I love songwriting. But I think it's, a vehicle just as much as like improvisational music. That in the past few years, I've started exploring graphic scoring a lot more. So it's been a way to blend like a visual arts practice with more experimental music and sounds. But really, yeah, it's just like, I love all sorts of music, every kind. So I don't think it's ever been one or the other. It's always been a combination of all of it.
And my big question is, what was the defining moment that like made the switch to the Bonsai?
I don't think there was one. It was, it was throughout the pandemic. I think we were all just like making stuff in our bedrooms and our houses, and it was just time to to like venture out into a new project, and that's kind of what happened.
I love that because I've been with my doing my YouTube stuff. I have been exploring music history quite a bit, and I get hung up on genre now because I think it's such a it's so limiting. I really dislike genre as a word altogether the more I dive into music history, because I feel like first of all, it comes from a place of racism. I feel like black artists get pigeonholed into like 3 different genres, even if they're making completely different or left music that's like, alternative. Like I remember when Tyler, the Creator, made Igor, it was like that was still up for best rap album, and there was like no rapping on the album at all. and so the more I dive into that, the more I wish that like we could get away from it, because now you have people mad at like Beyonce for doing country and like experimenting with other stuff, and it's really kind of just a silly thing to me. And I don't know.
Even before that, like, you had like what was it when it was Michael Jackson was like the first black artist to get on MTV, and they were like kind of banning, like they didn't really want like that featured on MTV for the longest time. But there was like a whole uproar, like this video needs to be played on there. I forgot what video was it. It was
probably Thriller, right?
It was before Thriller, I think.
Oh, I'm not sure.
It was like Off the Wall album, I want to say.
Oh, it could be.
It was something off.
It could have
there.
been Off the Wall itself. Yeah. I remember seeing an interview once with David Bowie where he.
That's what it was. David Bowie.
Thank
you.
Okay. He was grilling the VJ that was interviewing him about why they don't play black artists on MTV.
I mean, like the genre thing. I think you do hit a good point of black people do get classified into like a few genres. I mean, even that's going to this day. Like, if you look at like Grammy categorization, like when you were talking about Tyler and things, like you get put into this box. And I forgot who were we just talking about. Shout out to we were talking about Jalen Frazier in the hotel room today.
Yeah,
we were talking about like this, like, and I feel like you fit into this as well, very well. It's like you do stuff outside of what people may have known you for early because you get put into a box otherwise. And that's really cool that you can kind of venture out and do different things and fucking nail it. So that way when you do something else, it's like, oh yeah, like on to another experimental thing that, you can like learn and play with, rather than like you get pigeonholed into a different, like into the same thing that people have known you for a long time. So yeah, I think that's dope.
I mean, I think there's always room for transition and growth. Like I even feel like with some artists I love a specific album or a specific era the most, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the artist for like every turn of their journey, but like I feel like genres are very limiting. I think it's important to know like the roots and the history of like the music we love and like where it came from, and I think terms can help to kind of define that a little bit. But yeah, I don't think I've ever tried to like fit into one genre or category. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that because, some of my favorite artists reinvent themselves almost every single album. Bowie's done it. Bowie did it his whole life,
exactly.
All the way through to the end. And I think that that's important because, we don't stay the same as we evolve. We get influenced by different places and walks of life and all these other things. So I appreciate that, and I'm very excited to hear what the final product of this is going to sound like,
or if there's a final product.
Yeah, well, no, I mean of this project
of this
specifically.
Era. Yeah, I got you.
Definitely. It's pretty much I'm ready for it to be out. It's ready.
Yeah. September's just around the corner. I can't wait. We got like 1 month away from this almost, because today's August 10th.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
How has music, in your opinion, played like a significant thing in like the healing process for people?
Wow. Well, music is inherently healing. I think that's originally what it was used for, so I don't think that will ever change. And I am grateful to just be a part of it and be a part of that process. I think that, it's like a circuit. Music creates a circuit between like the creator, the listener, other entities and beings. Like, it's just like, it's this thing that just, I think captures all of us, and we can all have individual experiences, collective experiences through it. So yeah, I mean, it's just been a huge part of my life. Like, it's always been something that like grounded me. Writing music was always something that felt very natural to me and became a great way to like express things that I couldn't express otherwise. And as a person who has a lot of times earlier in life felt very misunderstood, or like I don't really belong. I'm an alien, bro. Like, I don't, like, music has always been that way to like translate that. And music is a language that is understood by everyone, even if it's not the kind of music you typically listen to. It's like we turn on our other ears to listen to music, and suddenly we can understand things that we couldn't if they were just in words. So yeah, I think that's been one of my favorite aspects.
Even from a listener standpoint, like, I feel like music is one of the only things that really makes me emotional on a regular basis. Like, not too many things make me cry, but music regularly makes me cry.
Same.
And so I find that like such a
Well,
moving
I'd be crying about a lot of shit, but
Yeah.
music regularly makes me cry. I agree
No,
with
I
that.
mean, like, there's certain things that like music can really alter like moods and really like actually make a difference in your mind state and your mental health,
Yeah.
like, and then it's just cool to hear something like on wax or sonically that like people can resonate with and people can actually feel, and you actually evoke emotions out of things, and it's very rare to have something outside of something that you can't like physically touch and it's not tangible, because music, I mean, you feel it but it's not necessarily tangible because it's sonics, but it's just to get that actual emotion out you like from sounds and things. It's nuts to think about.
100%.
Yeah. I don't know, I was just kind of thinking about this too. Another thing I was thinking about when I was watching you perform yesterday is I felt like it was over like just as soon as it started.
Yeah.
And like, because I feel like the best kind of shows to me feel like a flash in the pan like that. And I remember watching.
We were also running around with cameras.
Yeah, we were running around with cameras. I guess that does occupy some time or whatever. But I remember watching this. One of my favorite bands of all time is My Morning Jacket, and Jim James was talking in his Storytellers back when VH1 still had the Storytellers or whatever, and he was like, these are my favorite types of shows that feel like that, where like I started and then in the flash of an eye all of a sudden we're like done, and I'm like, did we just create something? Like, what just happened there? Like, where were we just now? And he's like, and I'm always like reaching for my influences like in my head, like when I'm trying to hit a high note I'm like reaching out to Al Green, or like I'm trying to get in tapped with him. Like,
exactly.
It's like the spirit bomb of like musicians just trying to lend me your energy. For this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that happens to me so much now, and I've brought it up several times in here, but like in sobriety, I feel more connected with everything. Like, I was so numb to so many things for such a long time in my drinking years. Extreme social anxiety is why I would drink quite a bit in public, and so now that I don't have that, like, music definitely makes me feel more spiritual. It makes me notice more things, and like that is something that's so easy to lean into now for me. And like I'll be having conversations with people like via text or something, and 9 times out of 10, like in that text message conversation, I will send someone a song because I can't figure out how to explain what I want to explain. And I'm like, just listen to this. This is what I'm trying to talk about right now. Like, here's this for you to check out. And so I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. But what else do I need to know about this new music before we get out of here? Take us through.
Take us through the process of recording.
Where did you guys record it at again? I know
We recorded at Hamtramck Sound Studio. Adam Cox recorded and mixed most of it.
He also records for us too.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I know Adam.
Word, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the songs were already written. A few of them were still kind of taking form, but it was like last summer, so August 2024. I did something I've actually never done before. I feel like I've always kind of split my time between like the real world and, working on music, hitting the shed when I can, or finding bursts of, energy to do something or take a weekend. But just booked the studio for a complete week. and took off work, everything. And just for that week straight, we recorded the project, brought Sweden to town. You know, we spent about 3 days doing tracking for the majority of the songs. A couple days, folks coming through and laying other stuff down. One day we just made like experimental music. It was myself, Sweet, I, Simone on harp, and my friend Ade on percussion. And we just like played free that day. It was kind of like a shorter day in the studio. So yeah, basically just knocked out the recording in like 6 days, and then like kind of mixed it and took some time away, came back, added stuff, took some time, came back, switched the lyrics, and then maybe like in January or February, I was like, all right, it's time to lock in. I was like over at the studio almost every week, like just dialing stuff in, figuring stuff out. So yeah, it's been a beautiful process. Like with Honey Monsoon, we always recorded like at home. There was so much like control and synergy in the process, but I feel like it's been really unique to like really hone in on the arrangements, to be deliberate. Honey Monsoon live recorded everything, so
nice.
we would live record it. We were all playing at the same time, oftentimes in like the same room. It was very little isolation, very little room for error, very little room for like, you know, it's like, all right, we got it, and the mistakes make the song. But with Obsidian Bloom, I feel like I've just had so much more like intention in the process. I feel like it's taken a perfect amount of time for me personally to like see something through. And yeah, I'm super excited. It's been beautiful.
So we're expecting like a fully like polished project compared to like something that might be like more rough and rive and like
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's dialed in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find it difficult? Because I know you mentioned that you took work off to get like locked into the studio. Do you find it difficult to balance work and creativity?
Dude, I was about to go there.
Yeah. But it was a choice, you know. Like I used to gig for a living, and I'm super grateful to my younger self for like doing that and being dedicated to that. But you know, you gotta make a lot of sacrifices sometimes. And time and energy is like huge for, you know, creatives. Like we need to be able to be in our own timeline. We need to be able to direct our energy, to have enough energy to like create. You know, it could be very taxing, but it can also give you a lot back. But you have to be able to have the space to integrate that into yourself. So yeah, I think that it's still something that I'm working through. I'm hoping that more opportunities come that let me slowly transition out of working as much as I do right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I'm working so I can like make these projects possible, and that's something I don't regret whatsoever. But it definitely just takes balance.
It's really hard. I asked you that because, you know, I was working in a really physically demanding factory job when we were like getting the podcast up and running, and it was like some days I would go from working a 12-hour day right to the recording studio, and it would definitely affect my mood and my performance on the mic.
You bringing that energy with you know.
It's so hard sometimes. I mean, physically and mentally just drains you some days, and you're like, I don't think I have it in me to do this right now. Like,
yeah.
So like I found more, since I'm not working in that factory job, I found like more passion for my passion, you know.
Nice.
Like
Yeah.
it's like nice to have that.
One thing I'm gonna expand on what Neil said, because I had a follow-up question, is because I know you paint and you do other like actual artistic like ventures as well. How important is it to do other things as a creative, like outside of making music, and then taking that energy and bringing it back into music?
For me personally,
you personally or in general?
I mean, I think everybody's different, you know. I know that I am a musician, and I feel like that's how people see me. But I'm really just like, I'm just a person. I'm just a human. Like, I love to create. I love to express. That's the reason I make music. So that same like way of living bleeds into every other aspect of my life, you know. I love to cook. So when I cook, it feels like the same. I'm reaching into the same place as I would to write a song. You know what I'm saying? It's all, yeah. So I think it's great to have as many outlets as you want and do whatever you feel like you need to do. I think we all should be more willing to like try new things that just allow us to like have the outlet we need. There's so many ways to do that, you know.
Yeah. So I got a couple more, and then I promise we'll get out of here because it's getting hot out here.
Yeah.
My camera already shut down.
If you guys
on
don't
me
know,
'cause
we
it's
are
too hot.
outside in beautiful backyard in Pittsburgh. We get some B-roll stuff before we go, but yeah.
So in looking at, because me and E-Man are both really big on cover art. Like I really enjoy people that are creative in that way too. And I think you have some great cover art for the 2 first singles that you've released. And also for, I'm assuming that's the album cover, the photo that you posted the other day.
Mm-hmm.
When you had the long hair.
So take me through the visual arts aspect of this new project. Was that you, or did you hire someone to do that, or where did you come up with that stuff?
Yeah. So where do I begin? Basically, I had this idea to build a world for Obsidian Bloom, because, you know, I think that, and I'm a theater kid, I always say this, so I think about music, but I also think about the world that makes music feel the way it does. And so I basically worked with a dope team of friends, creatives, who we basically created like a stage set, and we've shot some music videos and visuals. The set was designed by Quinn Failer, who's a super incredible, like, multimedia, but like painter, but like they're working in sculpture now. And yeah, they created the set for the music video for The Middle, which will come out at the beginning of September. And yeah, that's where a lot of the visuals were taken. And then my friend Ariel Mock is a super dope photographer, videographer, like media person. Like, she does such incredible work. So she did a lot of the photos on set, and we've just been like messing around, editing them, and making sure that they fit the vibe of the singles and everything. So yeah, she's a genius. Super grateful to have her on the team, and she's made all of the album covers.
That's awesome. I really, really love that. And then the last thing that I had for you, I don't know if E-Man's got any more questions, is this is something that I always ask people when I'm interviewing them, is in this process, is there music, are you constantly listening to stuff, or do you like to kind of not play music around when you're in your recording process? Because I don't know, some people don't like to do it because they don't want to accidentally have it leak into their stuff, and then some people love to be constantly listening to their influences and stuff. So I was just kind of curious what music you're listening to or not listening to, if that's your thing.
Yeah, I don't know if there was any like specific music that I was like listening to, like I'm gonna make something like this, but I do spend a lot of time just like not listening to music, especially when I'm in a deep writing process. I like to just listen. If I listen to music, it might be very meditative, or it might be like I love some like slow jazz or like some Pharoah Sanders, Lonnie Liston Smith. Like, I just try to, just be as in touch as possible, because I think that when writing, I do like to just like approach it from that place, and I feel like I have so many ideas already coming to me. I just like to really gather those. When I'm in like a mixing phase, like sometimes I only listen to the songs that I'm working on, like,
Okay.
and then I just have those songs on repeat for days or however long it takes to like hear what I'm hearing. But sometimes I get fatigued by that too, so it kind of just depends. But I take a lot of musical fasts, and I also like, once I find something I love, I just kind of sit in that album or that like artist for like a long time sometimes. So yeah, it fluctuates. Currently I've been listening to a lot of Jean-Luc Ponty. It's like crazy fusion violinist from like 70s France, and
Nice.
Okay.
King Sophia actually put me on to him, and yeah, I've been like devouring his discography for the past week. But yeah, I have so many influences. Yeah.
That's how I get when I'm listening to stuff. I get into someone that I'm like, especially if it's like new to me, then I'm gonna definitely want to go back and explore the entire discography. And I love to do it in order because I like to like hear how they change
Same.
through their process. Like that is so much fun to me.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah, you see like the actual progression of an artist. Like if you start like for how they go, like
you
where
hear
they
'em grow.
originally at, and
Right.
yeah, you kind of grow with them. You see like the evolution, like real time and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Currently,
really
I've been listening to a ton of I'm working on this piece for YouTube on Little Sims, so I've been listening to a ton of Little Sims. And, like, I thought I knew a lot of her music, and then I'm like, oh, wait, she's been dropping music since she was 16 years old, and, like, half of it only resides on Bandcamp, so, like, I didn't even know that was there, and
That's
I'm
the
like,
best.
oh, this is amazing.
Good old Bandcamp
Yeah.
Fridays, man.
I love Bandcamp.
Yeah, shouts to Bandcamp. That's the
Bandcamp.
best. If you're not going to buy their albums physically, go support artists on Bandcamp because generally they do the best out of, we're in this era of streaming where they don't pay diddly shit to artists, so
and
Bandcamp is a little bit
and it's
better.
microwave music.
Yeah, a lot of
it's
it.
Very,
yeah.
it's just hard to like so many things drop and then you forget about them too. So on top of that,
Yeah.
And to piggyback one last thing on what we were just talking about, the other thing that I'm going through right now is I used to always have my ears occupied with headphones playing something, either a podcast, music, and the more I get into like this spirituality practice, the more I've realized the importance of not listening to stuff at times too, and just like walking with yourself and your thoughts.
Your ear grounding.
And man, that used to be so tough for me because I had so much like guilt and regret and all this thing that would float around up there, and now like I feel like I've like kind of made amends for some of those things, and like walking with just without any headphones on and being able to take in just like nature and my own brain is very important to my process too.
I'm going to piggyback off of what you said, and then I have another question as well. So piggyback off what you said, because I'm hitting 9 months sober myself.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed too is just like you really learn to like process certain things I've never really processed like under, like with some kind of influence. So I'm looking at like, damn, this is probably the longest I've been this is definitely the longest I've been sober in my adult life. So just really like saying like, oh man, that was kind of messed up that happened. Or oh, that's how that happened. Or that's how that was supposed to be interpreted back at that time. So it's just really like learning to be with yourself and be present. And then I've been learning the grounding, as Danny Brown calls it, the toe ring shit. Like where you like the grounding techniques and things like that. And just really learning to be with yourself and like be present, be in the moment. Because one thing is when we were walking, I still check my phone like regularly, bro. Because it's like, mind you, I have like 4 group texts going on at all times.
Right.
Just like all this other shit. I'm like learning how to like filter out the chaos and just trying to be present. So that's one thing. That's the next step in my evolution I've been learning.
Yeah.
But it's just, I just want to say like I appreciate you for kind of helping me out with that.
Yeah, no problem, man.
Back to you. So, A City in Bloom. Like, how did that name come about, and what is the concept? I don't think we touched on that yet.
Yeah. I think that a lot of this album is about like shadows, like fighting shadows or allowing shadows to exist and, letting the light change them over time or whatever. And I think Obsidian, is like a volcanic rock, super dark rock. And I, just had this like vision in my mind of like, that just like busting open, is like like a lot of combustion energy. And so, yeah, it's, like a bloom feels like transition for me as well. So, yeah, I think it's about all of those things. I think the concept is as deep as you want it to be, or as like transparent as you want it to be too. So
I love that. And before we go,
because it's getting hot.
Yeah, it's definitely getting hot. I just wanted to say that we're gonna edit some of the footage because we have some great footage of you playing, and if you don't mind, we're gonna put some of that at the end of this show so people can see how awesome it is. Yeah, no problem.
Big shout out to Barrel and Flow as well. So real shout out to Dave Bracey and Ed Bailey, who are the 2 founders of Barrel and Flow. Just wanted to plug them too, and hopefully we can get on there next year. Hopefully we all can get on there next year, and I know they got the New Orleans show coming up next year as well. So
for sure.
Yeah.
And to take us out of here, we'll play the first single that they released, and that is Invisible Fist. If my computer doesn't overheat on me, well, no, maybe we're not. It literally just did on that last thing. So we will edit an Invisible Fist in on the very end of this episode. But thank you so much for sitting with us.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.